I'm Letitia McCadden with USGBC here with Emma Stewart with Autodesk, and she's going to answer a few questions for us today. So, can you tell us what changes have you seen in the past year in the green building industry?
Well, it's really been a thrilling year in the sustainability field and in green buildings in particular. In December, 196 countries agreed to cap global climate change causing emissions to net zero greenhouse gases by the second half of this century. And they also set a stretch goal of achieving that earlier, at mid-century. So 5 months after that, many of those countries ratified that agreement, which means that it now starts to permeate through their regulatory agencies. We're starting to see policies come out, even as recently as a few weeks ago. Carbon taxes in Canada, a much more robust cap and trade system in China. So at the global level, we've never seen this magnitude of activity and ambition in tackling climate change. And in the green building space, it's become now commonly understood that buildings are a large part of that challenge. They represent about a third of global greenhouse gas emissions, and that could double if we continue on our merry path, designing and building and operating buildings the way we've done by 2050. So they have to be part of the solution as well.
What makes you optimistic that we'll have green buildings for all generations to come, which is USGBC's mission?
One thing that makes me optimistic is that as early as 2009, McKinsey and Company and their analysis partners calculated that we could reduce energy consumption in commercial buildings by 30% off the bat using existing technologies and getting paid back financially for doing so, all by 2020, which is just around the corner. So we have the technology, we get paid back for doing so, and it puts us on that pathway that now every country in the world has committed to in terms of reducing global climate change. But another reason that I'm optimistic is clearly the world economy and politics works on dollars and cents. And so our partners at Impact Infrastructure are announcing a brand new tool that automates the creation of business cases for green buildings. Makes it defensible, makes it something that an architect, an engineer, a contractor can bring to their owner client and say, this is going to pay you back, this is going to pay your tenants back, and this is actually going to pay back global society, but does so in a way that puts consensus-based, thoroughly researched and vetted economic quantities in dollars and cents on each of those benefits. So I'll give you some examples. We've talked in qualitative terms about how green buildings have higher productivity rates of their occupants. And that's a result of having fresher air or better daylighting. Well, it turns out there's actually quite a bit of economic literature proving just how more productive those individuals are. There's also quite a bit of literature on how LEED buildings and green buildings in general have higher rental rates and higher resale rates. We now know dollars per square foot what these things are worth. But interestingly, we can also quantify what have been intangible benefits, like the water that's captured on the roof and then reused. Every cubic foot of water that is captured, reused, or recharges the groundwater has a social value to the local society that utilizes that water. And every ton of carbon that is sequestered by that building has a social value to the global community. So that's one thing that I'm very optimistic about, is this new tool called AutoCASE, which is actually being displayed here behind us today. And the folks at US Green Building Council have really put their endorsement in very emphatic terms behind this in the form of a new LEED pilot credit. So if it weren't enticing enough to get an automated triple bottom line analysis, cost benefit analysis, and life cycle analysis as you're designing or retrofitting your building, you also get extra LEED points to boot.